In today's video, we're going to be diving into the upcoming pattern, taking a look here at some very interesting things as we move ahead over the upcoming pattern. We're going to get a little technical today. Forgive me for that. I'll make it brief and hopefully understandable. As we kind of discuss why it's warmer right now, but I've been talking about colder temperatures. It's important to note that these colder temperatures that I've been talking about, and I've been very clear about this throughout the videos, is expected for the very tail end of November timeframe into December. And we have very strong reason to believe this, and that's why we've been discussing this. So we're going to dive into these things. We see the models showing cold air again today, both of them, and major snow systems as well, especially in the Midwest and Great Lakes, but there is opportunities all over the place in the central and eastern states. It's just absolutely crazy. So let's dive into the current conditions real quickly, where it is a little bit more action-packed today, I will say. We have, and I mean a little bit, we have some activity along the West Coast, some activity nearby the Rockies and Plains, and then in the Northeast as well. So let's zoom into a couple of these areas real quickly, and we can see for California, we're dealing with some showery activity, as well as some snowfall there for the Sierra Nevadas. Pretty classic situation happening out there in California. We can pretty clearly see the rotation within this storm, so that is our kind of active, more dominant low right there. Very interesting situation. As we move up into the Northwest, still some showery activity ongoing. Navigating here towards the Rockies and Plains, and I'll zoom this out a little bit. We do see some snowfall happening for the mountains of Wyoming, the mountains of Colorado and Utah here. And then we have more showery mixed precipitation happening here, more so for the northern plains like eastern Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, eastern Wyoming, and then into Nebraska. Now, there is a few showers happening here across the Midwest and into the deeper south, but they're not really that notable. We're going to just glance at that and take a look here at the Northeast, where we do have a stronger low here north of Nova Scotia, as you can see there, just to the east of Maine. And we have some snowfall showers happening around Nova Scotia. We also have a lot of these snow showers moving through areas of Canada and down into the northeastern states. So for states like Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine here, especially even parts of Massachusetts and Connecticut at times, we are dealing with snow showers this morning and overnight last night. And they've been dealing with snow showers for what feels like days. So I'm sure there's some accumulation happening for different areas for sure. And as we kind of look at the lakes here, it's important to note that when we have this type of flow, even if there's snow showers that are just naturally occurring, these are almost always going to be lake effect enhanced in this situation, especially this early in the season. So we can see there is, typical snow showers moving around. But when we kind of look at the flow after the lakes, the wind is moving in from the northwest and down towards the southeast of these areas. We could tell the heaviest stuff is just after the lakes in almost every single situation. So this is lake effect enhanced snowfall. You could maybe even make the argument that this is just purely lake effect snowfall happening out here. But the only reason I'm calling it lake effect enhanced is because we do have snow showers in areas where there is no lakes as well. So we know there's snow showers around. And that actually is coming out at a moderate to heavy pace in some areas. So definitely some heavier snowfall there. Let's go ahead and move on to what is upcoming though and talk about all of these things regarding the upcoming pattern. Now, again, I'm going to get a little bit technical here. I don't even know if I've ever talked about the MJO on my channel at all, and I don't want to dive too deeply into it because it is one of those really heavier topics as far as how much information there is to share about it. So we could go on all day about this. I'm going to choose to try to do this in about 60 seconds, but there is a lot of strong correlation between different phases and then cooler temperatures in the eastern states. And typically for this time of year, because it does change with time of year, which makes things extra confusing, the phases where we're going to see very cold temperatures encouraged are going to be these bottom left ones. So 8, 1, 2, and somewhat 3. And then your warmer phases, where we're typically dealing with warmer temperatures, is going to be the top right side of this screen. The 4, 5, 6, 7. That's all you need to know for what we're talking about today, essentially. And this is a pretty strong indicator of this stuff, too. This isn't just like a little bit of a... it's just encouraging colder temperatures or warmer temperatures a little bit. A lot of times the MJO can completely take over the pattern and can be the top contributor to a lot of these impacts. So it's definitely worth noting. As we reached into November, we started trickling into the 5, 6, 7 phases. And the current projection is that we're going to somewhat stick around the 6, 7. Yep, just did that. Phases. And then kind of move down somewhat towards 8-1 at some point here. And it remains to be known kind of how long we're going to stay in those more favorable for cold phases, but it is expected to happen. We have seen this be somewhat unpredictable at times. So it's really hard to kind of dictate where it's going to go. But we do think that we're overall flowing this way, obviously, which is a more typical flow with this anyway. So eventually we're reaching phases 8 and 1. That's the main reason we're warmer right now. Here's how November has gone so far, at least since the 2nd of November. We don't get a 17-day period to look at, so we're looking at the 15-day period as of the 17th. We do see warmer temperatures along the west, along the central states here, and we've still dealt with overall cooler temperatures in the east. The first couple of days of November were cooler as well, so if we did have a 17-day period, I think that this would actually look a little bit more cooler in the east, just slightly, but this is the overall look that we've had so far. We're going to see where things end up. We're a little over halfway done with the month, which is unbelievable. Let's look at the European model. We're going to actually kind of deep dive into both models today because they both show some very interesting and similar things, which I love to see. I love when there's agreement between the models. It's a really good sign. Right now, obviously, we are dealing with a ridge in the west, trough in the east for the most part, which might be surprising for some of you. I know it's been warmer in some areas, and we talked about this yesterday. If you're looking at Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, North Carolina versus Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey here, it's not just slightly cooler to the north and slightly warmer to the south. We're seeing a lot of contrast in these eastern areas between the south and the north, and there is a battle between the warm, mild air and colder, more brutal air, and it is a very, again, close contrast there. So we're dealing with some pretty different conditions, no matter, depending on where you are in the east, and that's definitely worth noting. A lot of storminess out west also happening here, and then we can see the snow showers in the northeast here as well. So let's just take this. Let's move towards Tuesday afternoon tomorrow on the 18th, and we do see a lot of this storminess does kind of move towards more so the southwest there. We also see a storm system sort of taking place across the Midwest, Ohio Valley and Great Lakes here, where we do see some snowfall probably on the northern end of things, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan mostly. We're not dealing with a massive trough in the east here, more so a very mild one by this point, so there's not a whole lot of cold air to work with for this particular storm system. And as we just keep going and take it straight towards Wednesday the 19th here, we get a little bit more just showery in general with a lot of our activity. We've been talking about the midweek to kind of moving towards the late week time frame for potential severe weather here in the deeper south, and we're going to see this be our main driver, at least this storm system, as it kind of comes together. And as we reach Thursday afternoon, I will say this setup has looked a little less extreme than we were initially seeing for the model guidance, but I think that we're going to deal with overall thunderstorms for a lot of areas and the potential for a severe weather risk still Thursday the 20th. For some of these states, we're going to have to see how everything lands, and that is something that's tougher to forecast the specifics for, even beyond 3 days out. So we're going to have to just keep monitoring that. We do see the Southwest continuing to be pretty active. We see the Sierra Nevada mountains, some of the lower Rockies also seeing some snowfall in there. That's overall what we're dealing with for Thursday. Friday here on the 21st, we see no strong low there, but there's clearly a little bit of some frontal boundaries going on somewhere in there. This will elevate the thunderstorm risk and maybe, again, severe weather risk here for the deeper south. Still the Southwest seeing activity here, which is just unbelievable. And some mixed rain or snow showers here for the northeast of the United States and southeast of Canada. Moving towards the weekend, Saturday here on the 22nd, we do see a little bit of activity still left over in the southwest and some new activity for the northwest here starting out. And then the southeast is dealing with showery or maybe even thunderstorm activity here by the time we're reaching again Saturday here on the 22nd. Sunday the 23rd is very quiet. Have some showers around, but overall nothing crazy at all. Monday the 24th, we do see some sparking up thunderstorms or showers here for the south central states again with a very flat jet stream up to the north. As you can see, it's really just moving straight west to east, which we call a zonal flow. Typically, this is going to bring milder temperatures across the board. So that's Monday the 24th. Friday the 25th, though, we do see a major storm system moving on toward the northwest, which does bring a bit of a trough there for the west. Lots of snowfall there for the northwest and into the southwest of Canada. Really intense system there moving in. We continue to see this thunderstorm showery look here for the south central states. This is further out, but something that we're going to need to watch for early next week, about 8 days from now. Wednesday here on the 26th, what we're seeing is the Northwest again seeing a lot of that snowy activity. We do see for a lot of the Midwest down to the deep south still some showery thunderstorm activity. Mostly these areas will deal with the highest thunderstorm chance, and these areas are more likely to be just showery in nature just because of temperatures and climate. As we keep going towards Thursday here on the 27th, we see this low now forming for eastern Colorado, kind of a classic area for lows to develop, dealing with snowfall for a lot of the Rockies and then into the northern plains like North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska, a little bit of Nebraska as well there. Obviously a major trough there in the west, major ridge in the east, and this is also Thanksgiving Day. So there you go. We do see some showery activity in the southeast. Again, maybe thunderstorms, and we're going to be seeing all this activity head eastward. A lot of people have been, I haven't mentioned, I don't think, Thanksgiving yet to this point. It's been a controversial topic in the weather community. I've seen a lot of people saying, like, it's going to be frigid on Thanksgiving, and then a lot of people are like, you know, all these people are talking about how it's going to be frigid on Thanksgiving. I have tried to stay away from specific dates because the main thing beyond 10 days that we're looking at is overall pattern stuff, not specifics. And you guys have heard me say that before as far as dates or impacts. You know, this stuff could move in on the 28th, 29th, or 30th. I don't feel like that's pinned down yet at all. It could move in on December 1st. The main thing is that we have a really, really high confidence that it is going to be moving in at some point during that late November to early December timeframe. But I am not very confident in any specific dates or specific impacts, especially when considering, again, specific dates. So just want to clear that up. We do see this low, like I said, lots of snowfall. We're going to see how that kind of progresses here. And again, take it with a grain of salt. This is far out, but Friday, I mean, this is an intense system. This is absolutely crazy. 990 there in eastern Nebraska, eastern Colorado. We're dealing with thunderstorms up and down this eastern corridor due to that really strong warm front. Really, really interesting look. And again, combined with this very amplified, very bowed out cold front look, I think that the severe weather risk in this type of scenario, and the reason I say it that way is because we are beyond 10 days. Again, specific details are not that critical, but this is crazy to see. And clearly there's something about the pattern that this model sees that supports something like this. And we need to take that as a chance. That is basically all it is at this point, is something major like this. And to address the elephant in the room, heavy, heavy snowfall here across the plains, Midwest. Here we see Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas seeing some really, really heavy snowfall from this one. And as we kind of advance that, as the low drives further northward, we see kind of this southern driving effect happening to the west of the low, which we do often see. And this would cause even more heavy snowfall for that upper Midwest area. Cold front along the east could be a very high northward thunderstorm event here for the day. A couple days after Thanksgiving. This is crazy. And again, I mentioned this a few videos ago. I'm going to mention it again. Michigan is where Michigan and Ohio State will be playing on this date, and there is snowfall around. Pretty crazy stuff. As we look at Sunday on the 30th, everything kind of moves out. We do see an overall ridge in the west, trough in the east here, though. Really, really intense look. This is when that Arctic air begins to arrive for the eastern states, you know, maybe even a little bit before this, but it's really here on this model as of now for the 30th. And then as we head towards Monday the 1st, it's not really budging. We have a very strong ridge in the west, trough in the east look here. Really, really intense with more lake effect. Again, this looks pretty similar to today, maybe obviously worse, but we have all sorts of lake effect snowfall happening on this model run at the very, very end. Looking at the GFS model, again, we're going to more glance at this one, but the main premise here is for days I've been saying this is the area to watch for major snowfall, which climate-wise is very typical of this time of year, but I think that we have like an especially high chance in this area just based on the flow of the jet stream and everything. For this area to cash in on one or two pretty significant snow systems, I think the chances are elevated for that for sure. That's obviously mostly after the 25th. Right here on the 26th, Wednesday, we see the colder air moving in. Again, warmer air in the southwest, allowing this to kind of travel over and not through the west, which is going to take it towards the east. And we see heavier snowfall starting out here for parts of the plains Midwest. areas like that. And as we kind of advance, that does expand to the Great Lakes. We do see more systems, a more major one here for the 30th into the 1st of December here. We get this low right here over, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. Heavy snowfall, mostly for that Midwest area. So that's two pretty significant snow systems on this model for that same area as well. And look at that colder air move in. We get some more brief snow in the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast as that's moving in. And then we end up with something that looks very similar to the European model as far as the intensity of this Arctic air that's moving in. But look at the date. We're looking at early December on this model. So again, the timing is a little bit unclear. We know that it's going to be generally within that time period of late November, early December, but there is like differing opinions from these models on the specific date, and that's why I'm not trying to lock that in or anything. Total precipitation here, really elevated along the west coast, and then really elevated for many areas within the east. There is some dry pockets, but overall, heavier precipitation moving in, more activity, and I guess you could draw it up more so like this. Kind of these areas seeing above average, pretty well below average for the Northwest, which is crazy because they're seeing a lot, but their averages are just so high. Then the East is a little bit below average, but nothing to worry about. You're not going to notice this level of below average, so nothing crazy. Total snowfall in the European model, obviously the mountainous West, we're going to see consistency from the models on heavy snowfall. We do see large amounts here throughout the northern plains and upper Midwest, as we've been talking about, and also some lake effect snowfall and snowfall showers throughout the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast here. Now, as we move on to the GFS model, we can see everything's a little further southeast. And if you know anything about the weather models, you would know that that's a classic GFS move. It's known for being too far to the southeast. It's further southeast than the European model today. No surprises for anybody there. We do see very heavy amounts in similar areas. Again, it's just a little further south, but the plains, Midwest, Great Lakes is the main area to watch, with some snow showers east of there. Now, looking at the temperatures here, we're not just going to be in a pure torch. There is going to be back and forth with some of these colder temperatures. We can see for the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, Northeast, we're cooler right now. Again, look at the Southeast. We're looking at upwards of 10 degrees above normal for some of these areas, and then we're looking at upwards of 10 degrees below normal for some of these areas, which means between Pennsylvania and like Southern Virginia, which isn't that far apart, we're dealing with like a 20 degree compared to normal difference there within a very short period of area. So again, there's a lot of contrast there in the east. As we keep going, I mean, we stay cooler in the east for a little bit. We warm up, we cool down, we warm up. We've been talking about this. This is when the major Arctic air moves in, though. We see it really flow in for Friday the 28th, and then beyond here as we reach towards early December is when it really takes over here in a major way. We're going to see this on both models. Again, this might be a little later. This is showing the 30th right here. This might be the 1st, or this might be the 28th. We really can't pin that down very specifically yet until it's like within 10 days. We'll have a much better idea, but we're not there yet. The GFS model is going to be very similar with that back and forth, and then it has that cold front rolling in for the 28th here. We get a second round of it, though, for the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So it's more split on this model. We kind of cool down, warm up briefly, and then cool down even further after that is said and done. So some pretty key differences with the timing, but the premise overall is the same on both of these models, which is the main thing that we're looking for anyway. So with all that being said, be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.